If you like your phones on the smaller side, but still want something that can do it all, listen up. This is the Zenfone 9. I've been using it every day for about a month now, and yeah, Asus have put together a really good small phone here. Maybe one of the best on the market right now. Here are 4 reasons why I think that is. OG Bush. The biggest issue with flagship phones? They're massive. Look at this. They get bigger batteries, more space for cameras, and bigger and brighter screens. This phone is not that big. At 5.9 inches, it is smaller than any other 2022 flagship, but it still has almost everything one of these big boys do. It's not exactly mini size, it's more comparable to the iPhone 14 or S22, but there is a bit more going on under the hood. The headliner is the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, which is actually the same chip powering Asus's ridiculous ROG Phone 6 Pro and a bunch of this year's flagships from the Android space. I reviewed the gaming powerhouse that is the ROG Phone 6 Pro maybe a couple of months ago, and I was instantly reminded of it when I turned this on. The Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 is just a beast. This phone runs as smooth as butter, and honestly, I haven't found anything to complain about in terms of performance. And this might surprise you, it even has the same GPU as that gaming phone. So yeah, it's not really a headliner, but this is secretly a really good gaming phone as well. You will not be disappointed here. If you want even more power for some reason, you can get a 16GB version, that's what my review unit is, but I'm pretty confident in saying most people will be happy with the 8GB. It's also a bit cheaper. Not impressed with the top of the range chips, that has a lot more flagship features than that. The display has everything you would expect, including 120Hz refresh rate, 1100 nit max brightness, it has 5G of course, dual SIM card slot, IP68 water and dust resistance, a headphone jack, amazing, mate, this top tier phone. You're probably wondering, well, with all of that extra power and so much stuff going on under the hood, I bet battery is an issue. But that's the thing, we're up to point 2. It's totally not an issue. This phone comes with a 4300 mAh battery, which is pretty great for something this size. The phone also comes with its own charging brick, which can fast charge this at 30 watts for a full charge in just over an hour. Now, I will admit, I was a little worried when I switched to this because I am still daily driving the incredible Oppo Find X5 Pro. Watch my review on this to find out why that is. This phone has really been spoiling me on battery and charging speeds, so I thought switching to something a bit smaller might be a little painful. But here's the thing, I switched to this when I was on holiday, and I didn't think about the battery once. On holiday, you use your phone a lot, right? Killing time on the plane, using maps, taking photos, taking videos. Theme parks have weird apps that allow you to jump lines now. Not once when I was using all these things did I get battery anxiety. It pretty much always lasted through the day and even held on the next morning around 12 to 24% when I forgot to recharge overnight. Disclaimer, I did have this set to durable battery mode most of the time when I was using this, but even when I was gaming on the plane and really draining the battery, it still lasted a whole day for me. Yeah, for a phone this big, the battery's very impressive, the charging's great, and it's got some really smart things that you can play with to make the battery last even longer. Speaking of those options, let's talk about the UI a little bit because I think that's what made using this phone actually really enjoyable. It's Android 12 with Zen UI on top. If you watch my ROG Phone 6 Pro video, you'll notice this is pretty much a less gamified version of that. These phones don't come with any bloatware, their settings menus are mostly pretty easy to navigate, and the settings and features that Asus have added to the Android experience are actually welcome additions. The main one for me are those battery settings. Most phones do a decent job of this, but I don't know, I just really like these ones. They're really clear about what they do, and you can even go in and adjust them to your liking even further. I know I keep bringing up the ROG phone, but I feel like this could be called the ROG Phone Mini and it would make perfect sense. If you're in a game, you can actually bring up Asus's Game Genie panel with a quick swipe, and that lets you switch a bunch of settings in the fly, including battery and performance, and it even shows you a little info panel if you want. Yeah, Android gamers, I know some of you are out there. If you're actually looking for a decent gaming phone that's a bit smaller and cheaper, this is a sick gaming phone. Before I get to the last point, which really does sell this for me, there are a few little things that irked me that I think are worth discussing before you just rush out and buy this. One, the fingerprint scanner on this button here is ridiculously fast. If you just brush against it, it will unlock. I don't think I've pocket messaged anyone since like before smartphones, but on multiple occasions I sent some truly cooked messages to friends and even some people who I don't know. So just be aware, You'll probably have to turn that off. I certainly did. You can also set this button to pull down the notification panel with a quick swipe, which is nice. But again, because it's so sensitive, it will just randomly pull the panel down if you brush against it. Yeah, I turned that feature off pretty quickly as well. It's just too sensitive. A second minor disappointment, no wireless charging on this. I get that it's not for everybody and not everyone even uses that feature, so it's quite easy to pull it out of phones and not annoy too many people, but competing phones in this price range do have it, so yeah, it's a bit of a miss. Third minor disappointment are the cameras. Don't get me wrong, they're not bad, I just wasn't all that impressed. Cameras are a very competitive part of phones, and it's just really hard for companies like Asus to compete with Apple and Google, who just smash it out of the park with their software enhancements. So I do understand that, but part of the disappointment stems from how prominently the design of this device draws your focus to the cameras. Whoa, look at those enormous lenses. But no, the actual lenses are this little bit here. Yeah, most of what's going on here, it's just for show. In good light, the photos are really nice, especially on the 50 megapixel main camera. It's not trying to do anything crazy here with software or enhanced colors or sharpness, but in good light, you get nice, clear images that look natural and with really decent dynamic range. When you get into shadows and darker scenarios, it's a bit more hit and miss. Sometimes it will nail the picture, and other times it just leaves the subject in the dark. This is compounded on the 12 megapixel selfie and ultra wide cameras. I pretty much just stuck with the main camera after a few too many misses with the other two. Unfortunately, a telephoto lens is absent. It would probably make this look ridiculous with this design, but similarly priced phones like the S22 do come with a telephoto, so there is a little point against it. Actually, side note, one thing I was really impressed with on this camera is the video footage you can get out of this on the main camera. It's really smooth. That's because this is sitting on a 6-axis gimbal, which stabilizes the camera for both handheld photography and video shooting. You do get a little gimbal wobble if you get a bit too excited, but overall, it does a really decent job of keeping your footage smooth. Again, the cameras are not bad. I think they're pretty decent cameras. They're fine, but this doesn't really scream fine. They're prominent on this design, and yeah, I don't know, it just bugged me. Also, while I'm here, I'm just gonna ruin this phone for you forever. So if none of those things bother you, and again, they're all pretty minor quibbles, besides that last point about it looking like a minion, this is a really good value phone. Its starting price in Australia is $11.99, and that puts it in a pretty decent competitive price point alongside some slightly larger but equally spec'd out mobiles. It's a really competitive space. Each of these phones have enough pluses and minuses that differentiate them, but they're all really good. It's really up to what features you value most. Personally, out of all of these, the Zenfone 9 would be my pick. I just think it ticks the most boxes of what makes a good phone. It's certainly not the only small smartphone out there, but yeah, I think if you buy one of these, you'll be impressed. It's a really decent phone. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment if this video actually helped in your purchase decision for this phone. I'd love to know. And if you really love this video, hit subscribe so we can hang out in my empty room next week. And also, if you want to know a little bit more about the ROG Phone 6 Pro, what a mouthful, and why I keep banging on about it in this video, watch this video here and come on the journey with me as I unbox and discover what the hell it is, because it really is something you have to see to believe. It is over the top. I love it. I love this. Love you if you hit subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you next time.